Good morning. It's a nice cool morning here in the desert. It's about ready to heat up soon, and then it won't cool down for a long time. But I felt compelled to share something that I don't often share about or even talk about much in these spaces, which is this thing that I do called Spirit Bridge. I've given it its own name, kind of like my spirit work and how that works for me, and then how I share it with others, and also how I hold space for others to figure out how these intuitive abilities work for them. Okay, so last night here in Tucson, I hosted a circle that I host every month or 2 months called Rainbow Gateway, and that's the name I've given to my method of how I tune in for people, how I quote journey for people. And so last night there were 3 people there, and it ends up being that I loosen my own mind and I drum for a while, and then I tune into each person there one after the other, and a scene or a story comes through, and I'm seeing it and feeling it in my mind, and as I experience it, I story tell in as much detail as possible what I am perceiving in that moment. And so then I share what I'm experiencing with the person that's there that it's for, but without expectation. I'm not telling someone's truth. I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just sharing a story. And also, I'm not supposed to try to make a story out of what it means. So I guess the gist of the stories last night were, one was about someone tuning in more deeply and accepting nourishment, about how nourishment can expand for them. Another one was about, we only figured it out afterwards through talking about it, kind of reworking a past trauma that they're still feeling in their physical life. And then another one was about receiving fortification for different aspects of warriorship that are coming and happening now in this next era, in this physical world, but also in their spirit world, to strengthen them. So I wanted to share because I do these trainings each year that I've ended up calling Spirit Bridge, where people figure out how their own intuitive abilities work by practicing them in a safe environment where they're not going to be made fun of, and they have people to practice with and such like that. And another one is starting in May. But after I journeyed for these people, and one person said, "Wow, this was amazing, and it's unique what you do." Oh, a raven is flying by right in front of me. Hello. Um, there were a lot of ravens last night outside of our door. They were very talkative. It was quite a gift. But the comment was about how they hadn't seen anyone do this kind of thing like I do it. And yeah, because okay, so there's 2 different types of abilities, I would say. One is that people learn a method, a lineage of a practice. And that is that you learn the steps of how to do the practice as in the lineage. And then you do those as they are handed down. But there's this whole, and that's a lot of healing practices and intuitive practices. But then there's this other branch, which is that each of us in this other branch, that we have our own relationships with the ones that guide us and give us the info, and that are on the quote other side, that they share with us here in the physical world, and then we are the conduit to share it forward in the physical world. But that we, each of us, has our own set of allies and helpers and ancestors and whatever words you want to use. And no one else can really tell us exactly how that's supposed to look. It is unique to the person. Each person has their own way, but there's not a lot of places to practice that and figure out how that works. Because usually there's a teacher and the teacher says, this is how I do it and you need to do it like I do it. But that's not what I do, because that's not how it's worked for me, and that's not how I'm supposed to hold space for others who are trying to figure out and practice and hone their own abilities. It has taken me a couple decades, that is, to figure out how it works for me. And that is the whole first part of my practice. I didn't want to do anything, quote, for people. I didn't want that responsibility. I hosted journey circles. I drummed for people so that they could journey for themselves and have their own experience. But once the ones that guide me told me I needed to figure this out and do it, okay, then how is it supposed to go? Because I had hesitations. I didn't want the responsibility. So all this to say is that for people who have a skill set in the intuitive arts, that there is this other path, which is that you're not learning from the teacher exactly how to do it. The teacher, so to speak, the mentor, is showing possibilities, maybe reflecting in certain ways for the person trying to figure it out, and also noticing gifts. That's definitely something I do. Like, people often just say, well, this is just a weird part of me. And I'm like, no, that's a thing. Like, what you're doing now, that's real. Oh, it is? Really? Yes. And so people can take it more seriously and listen to it and ask it for guidance, or ask them for guidance in how they are supposed to show up in this world with these abilities. So that's my way. I often don't talk about it in the outside world, outside of Spirit Bridge realm, because people still think it's either crazy or it's witchy or whatever. But that's me. And I will also say that when I let it come through me, it is deeply satisfying to me. Deeply satisfying. Like, it's like a yummy feeling, even when the messages and what comes through isn't happy and go lucky. It might be serious, it might be intense, it might be all these different things, but the fact that it is coming through me, it nourishes me as it comes through. And that's an elixir for me, a tonic, a wellness tonic. And this video is going longer than I expected, but this part of my life is important to me. And also, so for anyone who is listening to me ramble on about this and saying, ooh, that is interesting, I think I have abilities and I want to practice them. So I have 2 different versions starting in May, one online, but that's only for people who I've worked with before. So if I have worked with you before and you're interested, that starts May 3rd. And then there's one in Tucson, an in-person one, which honestly, I have not done an in-person Spirit Bridge training since before COVID. But I feel like now I have the space for it, the physical space, and I think it will be good. So that one starts May 10th, and it's once a month for a number of hours, once a month on a Saturday. So if you're interested, go to weboflifeanimus.com under offerings, Tucson trainings, and it's the one thing there because it's the only Tucson training I'm doing. Maybe we could work together. So thank you to the 3 that showed up last night, and thank you to everyone who has shown up and who will show up. And maybe I'll see you soon. Take good care of yourself and your abilities, because we are definitely needed now. These abilities are needed now. Okay, bye.